look at that. My mic was still muted. Hilarious, hilarious, hilarious way to start. Anyways, today we are reviewing The Ugly Stepsister. It is a film that is nominated for an Oscar this year. Looks like it was nominated for, I think, costume, which is a great one to throw it at. Another Shudder movie I saw, which is honestly too many Shudder movies on this stream. Okay, I have 3 movies on here. 2 of them are Shudder films, which is good for them. I mean, an Oscar nominee. I mean, it said Shudder at the beginning. I don't know if they produced it or just kind of had a hand in it, but I say we just hop right in here. This movie came out in 2025. It is I think it's a Danish film, something like that, maybe Swedish. Northern European for sure, and you can tell it reminded me of like The Witch, or like something like that, where it was just like from like Sweden or something. But this movie was good. It was okay. I'll give you my rating. We'll dive in here. As we always like to do, we like to start by hopping straight into the IMDb, where we could go through. All right, let's take that down here. Perfect. Actually, might as well just turn that off and get that out of here. Cool. All right, so Ugly Stepsister. Original title is Dienstig Esselstern, which is beautiful. I wish they would have just kept the name. I don't think they would have gotten the audience, but the name's there. Brief summary of the film. Elvira, she's the ugly stepsister. She kind of has the same kind of peak towards Prince Charming. She wants the Prince Charming. She's ugly. And this movie it's very heavy-handed with the themes for sure. I would say one of the strongest themes in this movie is that beauty is like a currency. I felt like I was watching like an episode of Black Mirror. It was kind of like everything. It just determines your status and your worth, and obviously as her being ugly and Cinderella being beautiful is kind of a swap of the normal story. In the normal story, I feel like Cinderella is still beautiful, but she gets treated like crap, like she's the one that's cleaning and loses her shoe. So this is kind of like a flipped version from trying to like kind of create this like antagonist out of the stepsister, which is they kind of switched the story a little bit, but the themes were there and it definitely worked. Heavy-handed theme is like there was a strong theme throughout this entire movie of identity through comparison. So it was like comparing yourself to others, and how in this society that's kind of how people acted, and if you're ugly then you're poor and you're at the bottom, and that was tough, and we see a lot of that true today. It felt contemporary. Back to the IMDb. It was directed by Emilie Blichfeldt, and I believe this was her first directorial debut. So she had written some other things. She wrote this movie, she wrote the screenplay, and she directed it, and it was her first. And, hats off to her for being an Oscar-nominated film for your first one. So excited to see how this one performs. We can hop into our favorite category. Does this person look like they directed the movie? Yes. Yes, she does. She looks exactly like she directed this movie. She has a style, and she kind of dressed like Buckaroo Banzai. She dressed like Buckaroo Banzai was a Gryffindor. That's a funny joke. Write that down. We're going to go back to The Ugly Stepsister, but not to hate on her appearance, because that's like the whole thing. Just a outfit observation more than anything, really. So let's see here. Let's go to... Let's see. So the actresses and actors in it, pretty much nobody that you'll know unless you watch like Danish films. The acting didn't really stand out to me necessarily. I think we'll get to that a little later with the main actress here. So let's get back into kind of just discussing the film. So Danish film, not in English. That's fine. You got to be able to read if you want to watch it. So subtitles are a thing. The movie did a great way of visual storytelling. The color palette was like very bleak. It was very bleak, and it felt like a gray, or like very like dull colors. And I think in comparison to Cinderella, very bright colors, this was not Cinderella. It was definitely not Cinderella. Okay, that's for sure. This movie's like fucked up. A lot of parts were like not okay. I had to like, it was like kind of squeamish. There was like a lot of plastic surgery in this movie, and they didn't have the technology for plastic surgery in the era that this movie was filmed. So they're like hammer and chisel to a nose and just pulling teeth and pulling braces. And it was a very destructive form of doing whatever it takes to, feel like you're pretty enough to fit into society. It did a very good, the visual storytelling again did a very good way of portraying the Cinderella as the most beautiful. Whenever she was in the scene, it was like a wide shot, very open. There was light, and kind of the scenes with the ugly stepsister was like a very narrow shot where like they didn't really want you to see her. She was almost pushed out. Like the camera in the movie made a decision, and it chose the side. Like the cinematography chose the side, and it made you kind of like this forced perspective of a side to choose. And I have this kind of conclusion at the end of how I feel, how it kind of was structured a little bit. And I was able to watch this movie today at the doctor's office. I went till like 4 o'clock, so when I got home I was able to prepare the stream a little better and kind of write how I felt. This wasn't as immediate as my other streams have been, which have been like immediate. I did get to kind of write how I felt. So the structure of this movie is different. It's it kind of doesn't necessarily focus on plot structure as much as it does like emotional descent, or like this crash of a being. Like it's like a seriously like a descent of a person. It's like the opposite of a character arc. It's like a character down, like an inverse graph. Because like she gets worse as the movie goes on in the pursuit of getting better, which is life. The climax at the end of the movie was a lot of shock, but I think it was less about shock and more about the inevitability. It's like she was looks maxing. This movie is about looks maxing. She was clavicular, getting framed by an ASU frat president on stream, and that's what this movie's about looks maxing. It's kind of true to reality now, where people are so insecure with how they look, and this whole idea behind this red pill Andrew Tate clavicular background is just like, he says like a lot of people don't like to say it, but looks are a lot more important than you really think in this society. There's some ways he's right, and there's some ways he's completely wrong. But they definitely, in our society and this one, have value. The way that you look, the way that you appear, it's how everybody judges you initially. And it gets kind of difficult. It gets kind of like to be this part where it's like, how much are you okay with just being yourself and internally beautiful, rather than focusing on the pride of not. It's like that murder in Seven when they do Pride, where he goes, a woman so ugly on the inside that she couldn't handle being ugly on the outside. And it was just like, he had a point. The killer from Seven had a point. I make that point a few times and it's awful, but he was right. For some things, he was right. I don't know what else to tell you. He was right. So, Seven, great movie. I'll do that one later. I've seen it too many times. The cultural relevance of this movie. Why did it come out now? Why was this message coming out now? Why did it go to where it did? It's because I think of how people view themselves on social media and how they view others and how they compare lives to others. It seems to be a common theme that we're doing. So that excuse me, cat, and it's pretty terrible, but it's common, and this movie kind of attacks that at its craziest. Because if you feel like shitty about yourself, if you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, you should watch this movie, because at least you like yourself enough that you're not like injuring yourself. If you aren't injuring yourself in the pursuit of looking better, then you look good enough on the inside to watch this movie. Fair. All right. Strengths and weaknesses. This movie had a lot of strengths. I got some strengths. The atmosphere, very consistent. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was in Elizabethan, Gothic, kind of England, or maybe, I guess, Northern Europe. The visual storytelling, again, very deliberate. They shined light on certain things, not on others, and vice versa. I think the lead performance carries weight only if you buy into it. I think the closing scene of her arc, where it kind of comes to fruition, is all depending on whether you had emotional value towards her character throughout the movie. If she didn't do it for you, then I think the ending kind of tanks. But if she did, then you kind of try to see the value of what they gave you. So that performance definitely carries weight towards, I think, how someone might view the end of this movie, which is unique. I feel like that's a unique thing. Rarely do you see an ending change depending on whether you feel an actor did. Usually it'll be something like a narrative or something like that, and to kind of show you. I liked that. I thought that was interesting. I had that thought. I was like, if you didn't buy her fucking bullshit and you thought she was the worst, you're kind of like this at the end of the movie. You're like, that's what happens when you fuck around. You fucking find out. So, ambitious, for sure. Weaknesses. Pacing. Lingers in the middle. I think Act 2 kind of focused on the insecurity and the surgeries and all that, and I couldn't watch that. I didn't know, it wasn't for me. I don't watch that. She was screaming. It was like watching a torture movie. It was very uncomfortable at times. I mean, I'm turning away. I'm watching on my phone. So it's I didn't, get the fucking theater experience with this movie. I watched on my phone at a doctor's office because I had the time and I was excited to watch it. So it was exciting. The kind of heavy-handed aspects of this movie where I thought it was more than just the heavy-handed theme of body insecurity and identity comparison and trying to kind of be the version of this society. I felt like it was definitely a lot more than that. It was about invisibility. There was times when the ugly stepsister showed humility, and you felt for this. You felt bad for her, in a way, you felt bad, and I did, because I know that that's a reality for a lot of people out there, and I was that's awful. It's awful, and I look at the mirror at my body and I love it. Now I don't know what to say about that. I look at the mirror and I go, fuck yeah, baby, we're riding today. And I have a lot of chest hair and I have a bald head, I'm bald. Most of the streams, I'm bald. I wear this Falcons hat every stream because it's where my cousin's going to college. And so I'm supporting him. And so it's go Falcons, Bowling Green, baby. he's gonna go play some golf. It's gonna be sweet, baby. But I have insecurities too, and I think in today's day and age, it's important to kind of take a step back and really love yourself. And obviously, I think if you're gonna take a message from this movie, it's like, dude, go back and love yourself. You don't have to do that. You see where it gets you, obviously to the extreme. Even in today's, like, fucking Flickers look smacking, he's about bone smashing. They smash their bones. It's nuts. Out of 10, I'm going to give it a, I don't know, maybe like I'll give it a 6.2, 6.3. Wasn't my favorite movie of all time. But I'd watch it. I think it was important to watch. I think the message was there. I think the Oscars ate that shit up because it's the fucking Oscars, and they were just like, body positivity, something that's like, trending right now. So the Oscars ate that up and fell right for it. So good for them. Good for Emilie. I do feel one kind of thing as I end the stream here that is kind of important to talk about is that if you are out there and you have feelings of insecurity with your body or who you are, or kind of things like that, social media can be kind of a tough thing. I have a recommendation for you. There's a friend of mine. Her name is Brooke. She runs this amazing Instagram page for body positivity for women. She's kind of funny. She talks a lot, but her and I have been friends for a long time, and I've been, kind of watching her on this journey. She talks about the reality of positivity on the internet. And I think in a day and age where everything is fake and nobody shows anything that's real, she's kind of like a breath of fresh air. So I figured I'd give her a shout out here on the page where you can kind of go here, and she just kind of lets you know that there's authenticity in the world, and it's not just all a bunch of bullshit with women and their bodies and how you should feel. And she does more. She does more than that. She does like little workout stuff, little meal stuff. She travels and she's crushing it. And so her at name is Brooklyn Jordy. She give her a follow if not a little bit of positivity in the world, in a world full of negativity and people crushing down women, and this idea that women have to live up to the standards of men. It's ridiculous. And this movie shows that. And she does a good job of taking that and turning into something positive. So, Brooke, good for you. Figured I'd give you a shout out, as you and I have been friends for a long time. Again, The Ugly Stepsister. It was recommended to me by my friend Dora. She goes very back in on my roots of being and doing movie reviews. Her and I started a movie club back, I want to say it must have been like 2017 or 2018, and we would watch movies and then we would review them together, and kind of sparked a passion for doing something more with movies than just watching them, so I can kind of talk about them a little bit. She's an inspiring person, so thank you, Dora. Episode 3, this one is for you. And my coworker Jay told me about this movie too, and he told me a lot about it. And I think when he was telling me about it, I told him I wasn't gonna watch it. I was like, spoil it for me. I'm not gonna watch it. So when I was watching this movie, I was like, remembering the things he was saying, but so okay movie. I'm gonna give it a 6.3 out of 10. Definitely a good night, a good watch for, I would say, like a scary movie night. It had a lot of shocking themes, and it was kind of hard to watch at times, and you're kind of like in suspense. Predictable, kind of heavy-handed on the theme, but executed well. And I liked, the fairy tale idea, kind of throwing that in there. Smart. But I think that'll be it for this movie. So I appreciate everybody that's tuning in and, that watches the stream. I have a lot of exciting things coming up for this project and this stream. I have new ideas coming. I got guests coming on the show this Friday. So mark your calendars. Friday, the 13th, which is great. I am going to have a guest on my podcast, a very, great friend of mine, one of the funniest people that I know, naturally, and we are going to be watching a movie that's very close to them, so I'm excited. I've never seen it, of course. That's kind of the whole idea here. It's one of the ones I'm surprised I haven't seen, but Friday will be a good one. I have a stream for Saturday as well with another guest, and possibly another guest Sunday. So if I can figure everything out, I'm going to be watching the movie with someone else, and then we will be doing the stream together. So I'll kind of be able to go back and forth with somebody, practice for another project I have, a much larger project I have going on outside of my YouTube channel. So if you're here, if you're watching, if you've made it this far to the end of this video, please subscribe. If you're a good friend of mine, I know that you're already subscribed. So if I said that and you think you're a good friend of mine and you're not subscribed, you're a fucking piece of shit friend. But I love you guys. I love this project. It's inspired me to kind of step out of my comfort zone a little bit and kind of become more creative in this field. So again, very very good time. Lots of cool things coming. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you all for episode 4, which comes out tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Each stream is at 8 p.m. I try, depending on when I can finish the movie and set up the stream. It'll either be like right around 8, so gonna keep your eyes out, keep your notifications on,